this edition of Compelling Conversations, we'll discuss how, with the right training and coaching for business and individuals, people can see and achieve their dreams through personalized assessment, life coaching, and training seminars. Michael S. Jones, CEO of Success Management LLC, was recognized as the 47th Assembly District's Small Business Person of the Year by the Honorable Karen Bass, Speaker of the California Assembly, on May 28, 2008. Michael's public recognition came as an acknowledgement for his long-standing support of the community and steadfast commitment to customer service and high business ethics. Michael founded Success Management LLC to help its clients reach their highest potential through the aforementioned ways, and the company is also committed to helping empower businesses and to promote commerce through community development. In addition, Michael has provided masterful leadership as president of the Crenshaw Chamber of Commerce, who has maintained an active and visible role in advocating positions on issues that ensure a favorable climate for businesses in the Los Angeles area. Michael also displays a deep commitment to his community and has lent his own wise counsel and guidance to a variety of civic and civil community organizations, which includes his service as president of Friends of Baldwin Hills, past director of development for the YMCA, and a board member for the Baldwin Hills Estates of Homeowners Association. We're proud to have with us today Michael S. Jones. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be able to sit and talk with you.
And I guess the first place we would start is, why would someone want to who is the right fit for someone like your organization? Where is the person at in their career, in their life, that you can help take them from where they are to where they need to be?
Well, John, that's a very good question. I have a lot of clients who came to me who were stalled on the side of the road. For some reason, it might have been through divorce, it might have been through a layoff of some kind. They were just not moving ahead and in the direction that they wanted to go. I like to affectionately say sometimes that I help people to make lane changes in their life to get them back going on the road. And in doing so, it helps them to really start generating and fulfilling their purpose and moving in the direction that they want to see a goal attainment and positive things happen for their business and for their lives personally.
So can anybody be a fit for your service, whether they're incredibly successful, middle of the road, and downtrodden, or is there particular, maybe the latter two, that are better fits?
Well, the type of programming and work that I do with my clients, I can work with a college senior all the way up to the CEO of a very large company. And in doing so, the basis of what I do is helping them to discover and achieve their purpose so that we can go ahead and help them to really grasp from some of the things that have been they wanted to do in their lives. Let's say go to the next level, or to in fact be able to put their arms around more income and really get going with a career. So there's a lot of possibilities there.
Is this more set up for a person that's working in the corporate environment, or is this more beneficial to someone who's an individual producer in whatever field they're in?
I work with both business professionals through business coaching, as well as professional coaching with individuals that are just maybe they have a little bit smaller goals that they're trying to achieve. But I work with just about anybody, because the bottom line is I help them to try and discover what their purpose is, and then help them to give them a plan to look at strategy for going to the next level.
Okay, so let's take that and jump from there. When you say a purpose, what is a typical person's purpose, or is it changed obviously there must be a different purpose for everybody that you speak with, but how do you start to discover that purpose?
One of the things that we work with is helping people to understand that they are here for a specific reason. Let me just tell you a little story. One of the challenges that a lot of people struggle with is they're trying to find their purpose. And what I try and do is help them to settle in and look at some of the things that they do very, very well and begin to interview them and question them on some things to help them move in the right direction and find this purpose. One of the things about your purpose, when you find it, it really becomes contagious in that you're so settled and you're so excited about what you're doing. You just kind of take things to the next level. I There was a situation where a young man asked the question, where is the greatest and the richest place on earth? And the response was the cemetery. And so people said, what are you talking about, the cemetery? He said, that is the place where people have died, never fulfilling their purpose. We each have a purpose, a God-given gift that helps us to really show up in the world and do some tremendous things. So some people may say the richest place on earth could be the oil-rich fields beneath the Sahara Desert, or some people may say the gold mines of Ghana, West Africa. But this cemetery, that's where the young prima ballerina died without fulfilling her purpose to go across the world stage. That's where the guy who had cancer, he had a cure for cancer, and it never came to fruition because it died with him because he never realized his purpose. So purpose is individual, but also it's very, very important for people to really become unleashed and do the things that they really love to do. I have a lot of attorneys who have gone through law school, they're in a firm, and they might as well be going into a cubicle with manacles on their arms because while their parents dedicated that time and effort and money to get them through law school, they hated every moment of it. And so it's so funny because they really wanted to be a baker and to really help people look at making a lane change. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So what I do is give people permission to make those lane changes and to maybe even go another way, sometimes even to get off the freeway and go in a total another direction. But it takes time to sit down and help them to understand what they're really good at and what they really, really love deep down inside.
So right off of that, it sounds like this is not about, although it can be about achieving greater financial success. That's not part and parcel what you do.
Well, if greater financial success is in the target area of somebody wanting to go to the next level, we can talk about that, and we start again with the purpose that person really wants to work with and really want to achieve in their lives.
So, for example, and the best candidate to use for this is myself, since I'm the one chatting with you. For those that have listened before that know me, I'm a father of six, happily married, and uh, I feel very fulfilled and rich that way. And I know that is part of my purpose here. I run this podcast. Part of the reason is because I've just enjoyed media and I enjoy talking with people. But at the same time, I'm not financially fulfilled, even though I'm a financial planner, because I don't have all the things in place that I'd like. So, placing that at your feet, how would you go about taking me, let's say, for those listening, just as me as an example, where would we start from there?
Well, one of the things that you do very well from what I've been able to observe is to bring the best out in people. And when you look at what you do and bringing the best out in people through the podcasts and the interviews, that can just be tremendous to help people. So now you need to look at the possibility of how can you get paid for this? You're doing it for fun, you're doing it for a love, but my question to you would be, you do this so well and you enjoy it. You put a smile, it puts a smile on your face. What would it take for you to go to the next level and look at monetizing this gift that you have?
So then, if I said, I think your wife knows this, that my goal when I was a youngster and was one of her students And for those that don't know, Michael is married to a former teacher of mine, Jackie Williams Jones, who has been a guest on our podcast. Uh, always had a goal of working in the media, and I did achieve my goals. I was a producer at ESPN and helped launch the Golf Channel, worked at other places. But the best thing that happened in my life was that I ended up getting married and settling down. And I have a number of peers that probably are listening to this and are still in the industry, quite successful, and have had to travel or make sacrifices family wise. I guess it's the balance of making, as you say, monetizing that and and being able to balance the work and the life. How does that happen for most people in today's day and age when we're being pulled? And that was a long way of getting to. We're being pulled in 18 different directions with having to be in on the road and having to be in one location and at the next meeting. I would imagine someone like yourself is a perfect example of having to be in 20 places at once. How does the modern person that you're trying to help deal with such things?
Well, John, the important thing is success happens in small steps. And while we're trying to get to that particular destination, we have to work towards that destination again with these small steps. Business and professional coaching is such an interactive process. It really helps people to look at making rapid success and better actions and better decisions, because through focus, listening and observing, and even working in those small steps with a strategic plan, you can go ahead and reach those goals in due time. It takes time because you have to understand how everything lines up. Most people look at a strategic plan and they say, yeah, I've been there, done that, I have a lot of mission statements and things like that. But one of the things that I do is help people not only to discover their purpose and feel okay with it, and feel also okay with pursuing that purpose, but then you match that up with 5 areas of life focus. As you look at these areas of life focus, that may be a particular career, it may be a particular thing you want to do with your family, a better relationship with your wife, so on and so forth. So you take those 5 things and you go ahead and meld those together with your purpose, okay? Now, here's where it's different from the other strategic plans that are developed. You take those 2, then you begin to look at those 5 areas that you've selected, and now you're going to go ahead and look at your strengths and weaknesses in each of those 5 areas. So that gives you a good internal understanding of where you are right now. Then you can go ahead and look at the 5 areas as far as the external. What are things going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years when it comes down to working in those particular 5 areas and focusing on those and bringing mastery to those 5 areas? After those 3 steps, then you begin to look at development of a mission statement, the goals, objectives, so on and so forth. Now, here's the interesting part about this. If you have the 5 areas here, you're not going to make one massive mission statement that's, several sentences long. You're actually going to develop 5 little mini mission statements for each area that you've identified. And as you go through that, then you can look at 5 goals that will help to support the overall mini mission statement as you go down the list. And then you go through looking at strategy, and then the important thing is looking at obstacles. Obstacles are very, very important because they can stall you on the side of the road and they can just knock you out and you'll waste a lot of time. So then you go on to your objectives, which take into consideration the obstacles. Then you look at standards. What does it look like when you reach mastery in each of those 5 areas so you know that you're there? And then you look at putting those into a timeline and over the next 3 to 5 years. So it's an overall strategic plan that works out very well, which marries that whole idea of finding your purpose.
So, with someone working with you, and you mentioned obstacles, and I know obstacles, everyone I speak with on a day to day basis in financial services, on a day-to-day basis with people that I interact with at the PTA. Everybody has obstacles, and those obstacles can, for the truly successful people that I've run into, they're able to have it roll off their back like water off a duck's back. And for people, sometimes even like myself, can be completely sidetracked and fall. You have to go right back to the beginning. How is it someone like you helps professionals all the way down to the college student deal with those obstacles?
Well, number one, in most strategic plans, obstacles is a forgotten step. And it's necessary to perform an assessment as to what's obstructing your progress right now. So you ask yourself some key questions. For each strategy that you have laid out, are you doing this right now? Why or why not? Are you doing this now to the extent necessary to reach your stated goals? If not, what's stopping you? And it can be a lot of things. I talked to a lady the other day who had gone through a divorce, and that divorce was such a defining moment in her life. She was not able to move forward at all. She's stuck on the side of the road, and life is literally passing her by. So if you take those steps and ask some key questions, it helps you to really flush those things out. And guess what, John? If you have a plan B already on the shelf, when you hit that obstacle, because everybody hits an obstacle, don't get me wrong, but when you hit that obstacle, you can go ahead and pull that plan B off the shelf and you can get right back on the road and keep moving in the direction you want to go.
Do you find when you're interacting with people, are the people that are working with you, do they have to have the mindset that they're open minded to accepting that they have to have the plan B? Or can you actually take a person that is cynical and resistant and actually make them break through what they haven't been able to do before?
It all depends upon asking the right questions. As you begin to interview a person and really get down to the nitty gritty of the problem that they may be having or where they feel that they are in the road of life, if you will, it really reveals a lot of interesting things. And there's a self-realization that goes on with this question and answer process, because the person really is able to see that I am in my own way and I need to go ahead and make some changes if I want to go ahead on to get to the next level.
If It's almost a malaise in society now, without getting too political. You mentioned, are people doing what they need to do now, and what's stopping you? Like you used the example with the divorce. People latch on to excuses too frequently. I'm sure you would find that you're running into people that are just resistant to change or resistant to. They'll take the easier path, which is usually um, uh, to not fight the difficult fight, and that's where you come in and can be successful. Um, what is the biggest obstacle you face with dealing with getting people to the next level?
I think the biggest obstacle that I face in helping people to get to the next level is the realization. Because if you know your purpose, let's go back to the beginning here, and this is why I think this is so important in the type of coaching that I do. If you understand that you're here on this earth for more than just going to kindergarten, going to elementary school, going to junior high school. From junior high school, you go to high school. High school, you go to college if that's the direction you want to go. You work for 40 years, you get a pen, and then you die. There's more to life than that. And there are so many people with so many goals and also so much gifting, because one of the things that I like to notice about some of my clients, success leaves clues. If you can go ahead and see some of the things that people are very, very successful in, and they begin to develop this purpose, they see it. The light opens up for them, and they say, I really love doing this, but I can't afford to do it right now. That's okay. It's not going to happen overnight, but let's take some small baby steps. Look at revenue generation that will help you to get to where you want to go, and let's see what happens. And so that's why I work with people and I give them hours of coaching where we meet once a week so that we can discuss, the progress from last week, look at homework for the next week, and then we go from there. In my overall program, I work with people for about 12 weeks, and that's long enough to really get them turned around and moving in the direction that they want to go.
You say I'm going to put a bookmark in the once a week meetings, and we'll get back to that.
Yes.
Purpose. Do most people not come to you with a purpose? They're just lacking that in their life. They just are going through those motions.
Well, that's a very good question. Some people, as I mentioned, the law students, for example, whose parents have paid for them to go to law school, and they feel an overwhelming, they have to go and finish this out because mama and daddy paid for law school. But at the end of the day, they really hate law school. They hate it going through the process, even though some have done well, and they, just really just hate it because they really have a love for being a baker. And I know that's kind of a real extreme there, but it's when you discover your purpose, it allows you to unlock many, many things that come your way because you can apply your goals, your gifting, and your talents to the challenges that come before you. So, again, if you can go ahead and make a revenue stream based upon what it is you want to do and take it in a slow, progressive process, it works out very, very well.
And I noticed that you said, and you went right back to it again. So the revenue generation, the goals, the gifting, the talent, the process to lead to the revenue generation. So that law student then becomes says they want to be a baker. They probably don't have, or who knows the situation. Do you start with saying, okay, get the capital funding to to start your own bakery, or do you say go to Panera Bread and work as an overnight baker? How does that work? Where do you go from there?
Well, and many times as they begin to explore and because see, a lot of people will say, no, I can't do that because I can't afford to do that. I have so many kids, I have so many obligations, so on and so forth. But if you say yes to that and you begin to look at possibilities, guess what? Things begin to come your way. One of the challenges, and I think one of the good things that can happen, is that I help people to understand and develop collaborative, achievement driven relationships. That means that you put people around you that can help you with with your goal or with your particular dream, your particular purpose, and then you take baby steps in those directions. And it's fascinating and phenomenal sometimes how things can kind of speed up and get going.
Are you relying on your connections and relationships? Or are you saying that these folks should start to get out and is it networking? Is it just relying on people, their circle of influence that they already know? Are these things that you're opening their eyes up to that they really have all these connections in the first place and that they might not have known about?
That's a very, very good question. Around everybody, there is somebody there that can help you get to the next level. What I try and do is help remove the scales off of the eyes so that they can open up and see possibilities. They can ask the right questions. They can network and go to meetings and things and find out about the field that they feel that their purpose is going to, that is right there before them. They have to do their homework and really understand the business. They have to understand, um, you know, the things that it would take and do the research. I help people to have the permission to go outside of the box and look at some things that help them get to their purpose and to the next level.
You're obviously showing people and your clients the right way to do things, to how to network, to how to ask the right questions, how to avoid the obstacles. What are some of the negatives that people are doing? Do you break their bad habits? Are you able to see the bad habits that they might not have been able to see themselves?
Well, I love working with my folks with a little thing called a video camera. And I use my phone many times, and I'll have them just say, uh, we'll do an interview like we're doing right now. And it becomes painfully obvious sometimes how they're showing up in the world. They think that they're showing up one way, and yet, it's coming off pretty negative uh, and not going in the right direction. And it's an aha moment because if they can see themselves and they can understand, how they're showing up in the world, they say, I need to make another change here. I need to do some things. So then I help them with those steps.
That's a very good question that or point that you've made. The aha moments and the looking at oneself. Um, is it important to, at least in your coaching philosophy, um, to coexist or to make yourself more valuable to others, or is it more important to stay true to oneself, or is there a balance that you seek between the two?
I think it's important for the client to understand what it is they want. And what it is they want will emanate from that purpose, that desire, that that goal that they're shooting for. And so as we sit down and discuss some things, I always kind of keep that in the forefront because it's about the customer, it's about my client, it's not about me. And I'm there just to facilitate that clarity, if you will, that comes in to help them really focus and get going and really enjoy what they're doing.
Where does one start? So you mentioned the 12 weeks, and we've mentioned that you have to start with getting that purpose. Is that on the first week that they meet you, whether it's in person? Actually, let's go back a step. So someone says they're going to use your service. Do you meet in person if they're local? Do you, if they're further away, do you meet via Skype like we're doing? How exactly does the process begin?
Well, if you think about all of the possibilities that are available to us right now, most of which are for free, Skype, Skype and Facebook and Google Hangouts and things like that. If you can see somebody face to face and have that dialogue back and forth, that works out well. The first week, we usually and try and determine what type of assessments need to be done to help a person go to the next level as they've defined it. So for example, if somebody tells me that they want to go ahead and be an airline pilot, I'm okay with that. But if they don't have a driver's license, we need to talk. So we sit down and go through some questions and answers, and I began to start digging a little bit deeper because um, as you go through the coaching, it's all about listening, and the person will tell you so much about themselves if you just sit and listen. So the second week, after we look at some assessments where the person needs to go, we have over the internet. I can do a kind of like a sharing of a PowerPoint, and we look at things like time management. There's some basic core issues that I look at to help people try and master the aspect of being on task, on time, and on target. And then we talk about those things. Then we go deeper in the third week and go all the way out to the 12th week. And part of that process is development of this personal strategic plan that I discussed, and to help them really lay out things on paper where they can begin to see it, they can begin to assess it, and see where they are.
So when the process begins to 3 months later, when the process is over, are they still? Has their life completely changed around, or are they still the same person with just some better foundation of where to go? Uh, is that every case is individual, and you can make a 360, or you could just be doing baby steps? Is that everybody's different?
Everybody's different. Let me give you an example of one of the clients that I had when I first came to Los Angeles. I started my company back in Oregon in 1995. When I arrived in Los Angeles, there was this young woman. She was just a very, very bright woman. And she was kind of a headhunter for a company. And she was doing so very well. She had just come back off of a business trip, and her boss called her into the office and said, I'd like to speak to you tomorrow morning. So she went home thinking that, wow, the corner office, more money. As she began to look at her car driving back home that night, I need an upgrade on my car. This is it. I think things are going to happen. She turns up for the interview the next morning with the head of the company, and he says two things. We've decided to elevate your position to that of a vice president. But the other thing about it I need to say to you is you're not going to be it. We've decided to go another way, and we're thankful for the time that you spent here with our company, but we've decided to go another way, and you're not the person. As a matter of fact, go ahead and clean out your desk, and we want to give you, out of the goodness of our heart, the next 30 days to find a job. She was devastated. Matter of fact, she had to scratch up to go ahead and reach the bottom of the bucket. She was devastated. We got together and we worked over 12 weeks. First thing we had to do was look at building back her self-esteem and helping her to understand her value. Then we began to look at her purpose and what she wanted to do. And ironically, she was in this job, she was working, but it's really not what she wanted to do in the long run. She wanted to do some other things. So to make a long story short, we did role playing, we did things about time management, we did things about presenting yourself. She did presentations in front of me, we filmed them, we videotaped them, and it worked out very, very well. She then went on several interviews. 2 or 3 of the interviews were just so-so, but then one stuck. And that one that stuck helped her to land a job where she was the head of HR for one of the most prestigious law firms in Los Angeles. And every time I go through downtown LA, I see that law firm, and that's what floats my boat because we did some good work there with that particular person. So it's a matter of walking with the person and walking side by side and helping them to understand the things that they're going through, their mindset, to help them go to the next level.
How does one, if they were faced with that same situation, how is it that you start to rebuild someone's morale, especially in today's day and age where people are getting blindsided left and right with cutbacks and with having to accept roles that people consider beneath them, and they have that tough choice of what do I do? Do I stay and accept a lower position for survival that I might not like, or do I continue to aim high for what I believe I deserve and what I'm capable of?
Very good question. A lot of people feel boxed in by an either or proposition. And what I mean by that is you have to survive. Job one, you have to survive. If you don't survive, everything else is mute. So as people look at what it is and craft what they want to do, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a progression, it's a process that they go through. So I walk with them through that, but at the same time, we help them to go ahead and fulfill all of the requirements to survive. Because if you don't survive, everything is just out the window. So it's a slow process. It's not quick and just kind of like lightning bolts come down. People have to understand where they are. And so much of it, I keep saying this over and over again. I don't mean to be a broken record, but so much of it is unleashed when people understand what their purpose is. Now, there was a great theologian once who said, Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And that's so true. Miles Monroe said that, Dr. Miles Monroe, because people will waste their time, they'll waste their talents, they'll waste their treasure in fulfillment of flailing out there trying to figure out what it is they need to do. This whole idea of purpose and attainment of your purpose is like a level set that really helps people to establish a firm foundation to go to the next level.
Now, there's a couple of different ways that someone could perceive purpose. So I'll ask, is purpose, is it a spiritual calling? Is it a cultural calling? Is it just having a foundation of what's important to you?
I think it's a little bit of all of the things that you just mentioned. One of the things that I've found is sometimes people have just a natural gifting for things. And I like to watch and observe and just to really kind of figure out and help that person really look at what their purpose is. So, for example, as some people have the gift of being a salesperson, some people have the gift of leadership, some people have the gift and their purpose really helps to turn things around. Some people have a wonderful gift of financial management and things. So if you can kind of determine what that person does, what they really enjoy, what helps them to float their boat, if you will, you then from there can begin to build to the next steps, build a strategy, build a plan around that. So over the next 3 to 5 years, they have a goal where they want to be in this particular profession, in this particular career, and make some things happen.
So it doesn't have to necessarily be something they have a gift in, though, does it? Because, in other words, like you said, obviously you can't be an airplane pilot if you don't have your driver's license. But if someone wants to, let's say, be that baker and they have no necessary, other than some kicking around in the kitchen, real experience, is it possible they could achieve what they want to do even if they don't have that gift? Or is it something that you have to go towards your natural calling?
I think the most important thing is most people have this dialogue going around in their head. I really would like to be a baker, but I can't. How can I do that? How can I take away from my family? And they'll come up with 150 million reasons why they can't, rather than saying it's possible. It's possible to work on this. It's possible to be able to be this uh, technological mastermind and get some things done, but I have to look at it from the perspective of taking baby steps, taking larger steps, putting people around me in collaborative, achievement driven relationships to help me along the way. So I help them to attract all those things. But basically, as I said earlier, the biggest thing that I do is give permission, help the person to have permission to make a lane change and to be able to at least ask those internal questions to say, maybe it is possible that I could do this. And maybe here's a way that I can go about that.
How do you deal with, and we sort of touched upon this earlier, but you just hit upon what my thought from the outside would be the biggest objection you face is it's so much easier and people jump to the negatives so quickly and they'll get bogged down in the negative. How does one, let's say, even get past the negative of giving you a call or shooting you an email? How does one get past that?
Okay. Well, you bring up a very, very good point. As a matter of fact, 87% of the information that we receive on a given day, information that's deposited into our subconscious, is negative.
Wow.
Okay? So you look at CNN or the local news, you really get depressed after a period of time. So one of the things that I do with all of my clients, and I this is something that I'm supposed to be doing. This is one of my purpose venues, is to be a source of inspiration. So what I do, I have a thing called the Inspiration Nation. And with this, I send out a positive quote, a video, or a scripture each day over 365 days and really help people to at least start their day with something positive. I try and do it between about 6 and 7 in the morning. And so when they open up their email, boom, they see this, and it goes a long, long way. So a lot of times in changing a mindset, you have to think about your environment and what you're putting into the environment. So with this Inspiration Nation, I help people to, I guess you could say, make a stand on Positive Island each day, which happens to be located in the sea of negativity.
With the sea of negativity around you, it's like it's almost like dropping in a hole, and they always say, "Don't keep digging if you're in the hole." Um, is it all about positive feedback and positive influence and surrounding yourself around positive, or let's say you're in a negative situation that you can't escape, whether it's family, friends, do you have to remove yourself from that environment? How is it that one um, gets to the positive island around the sea of negativity if they're surrounded by the sea of negativity and they feel like they can't escape it?
Well, sometimes you have control over your environment, sometimes you don't. But I tell my clients that it's so important that if you have some people that, and it's important to identify this. If you have some people in your life telling you that you're not going to be anything, you're not going to be able to make this because you're not smart enough, you need to divorce yourself from those folks. You need to get away from that type of thinking, that constant bombardment of just negativity and people that are not looking out for your best interests. As a matter of fact, you need to not only get away from them, just seal them off somehow from your life and then move on with things where you can begin to grow and where you can begin to really understand who you are, your value, and how you show up to the world with the particular gifting that you have and the things that you really, really enjoy. If you stop all that negativity, and oftentimes you can't stop it all the time, but you can take steps to say, I'm not going to go there anymore. And I'm not going to keep pursuing this. And I am a person of value. I am a person of worth. And oftentimes, as you begin to start saying that mantra and talking about possibilities and things that can happen as I show people as they take steps, then you can go ahead and turn things around. But that's a very, very good point, because people are always saying no to everything without even looking at the things underneath the surface. No, no, no. Come on now, let's go ahead and look at some possibilities here and see what can happen.
And I would figure the first step is the hardest. How does one, how would we phrase this? Make that decision. Who is you when the decision gets made to contact you? What's that step? Like, for example, the example you gave about the person that was expecting the promotion that got that. I'm surprised that she was able to even pull up the power to step up enough and contact you. How did that person reach out to you?
Well, one of the things that we've been able to experience with Facebook works so well because people recommend their friends, people recommend restaurants, people recommend good experiences. She was able to sit down and talk to me because a mutual friend that we have between us said, I know this guy that, kind of helps in this particular area. You need to sit down with him. And so over a dinner party, we sat, everybody was having all the discussion, and we were discussing the situations that she was going through. And so I have a lot of clients that recommend me to their friends. And so it's not like I'm just doing blasts on Facebook or on my website. It's one-to-one and helping people to really get to that next level and really feel good about what they do because of the interaction that we have, and they will go ahead and recommend you. Zig Ziglar said at one time that You won't sell anybody anything. What happens, you'll give them enough good, cohesive, comprehensive information, and they will make a decision because they're smart enough to make that decision on their own and go in another way and go in another direction.
So, and I couldn't agree more with that comment or your thoughts there. So, overall, you're more consultative before they make the decision to get to you. You're just there as a positive influence, and then when the time is right for them, or are you saying, "Oh, the time is always right," and you, or it can never be wrong. It can never, no matter where they are in their life, so long as they're not in that cemetery that you talked about earlier, it's not too
Yes,
late.
absolutely. And one of the things that I love the most is to be able to just listen to people as they talk. They'll say, "Well, I'm not really smart enough to do this." What do you mean you're not smart enough to do this? And we talk about that. And that came because they had an uncle who was telling them all the time that, they weren't smart enough, they weren't tall enough, uh, they didn't have the looks, they didn't have, and so that becomes this huge bag of rocks that you carry all throughout your life, and all you had to do was just stop, take the bag, put it on the side of the road, and you keep on going. So again, so much of what I do, I give people permission to make lane changes. I'll say it a different way now. Because if you're going down the freeway and you want to make a lane change and you want to do something different, you first have to engage the turn signal indicator. So if you go ahead and engage that turn signal indicator, that means the person in front of you and the person behind you knows what your intention is. And if you have people that are trying to keep you in your lane, if you have people that are trying to keep you under the thumb, guess what? They're going to come at you. They're going to come at you with a vehemence and say, "No, you can't do that. You've gone to law school. You need to be a good lawyer. You need to do this." But yet inside, you want to go ahead and make a lane change because you always deep down inside wanted to be a baker. And so now I give people permission to say it's okay to explore those other areas. Let's see what happens. Because if you're just sitting there at the beck and call of all these people that are trying to hold you back, you're going to get you're just going to believe in that and you're just going to continue to be stuck. One of the things that I love is a conversation that Muhammad Ali and a newscaster had at one time. And Muhammad Ali was in the fight of his life with Joe Frazier. And Joe knocked down Muhammad Ali and he was on the mat. So the commentator later on said, "Well, why didn't you stay there?" And Muhammad Ali said basically, "Laying on the mat is not for champions. I'm a champion, so I had to get up." He had a mindset inside of his head to say, "I don't belong here. It's time for me to get up and get back into the ring and get back in there and continue on with the fight." So many people are laying out. And if you think about it, Muhammad Ali was great because of two particular people in his corner. You think about Angelo Dundee and Bundini in his corner. And had those men not be, if they were not in the corner, it probably would have been a different outcome. But see, even though they were in the fight and they were not out fighting themselves, they had a chance to see and be able to coach Muhammad Ali what to do. And he listened to them. So coaching is so powerful. Now, I say that as an example because so many people have the wrong people in their corner. They have the person you're trying to get water, get hydrated and things, and you have somebody taking the water away. You have somebody whispering in your ear the wrong things. But a good coach, somebody's there. When that bell rings, you can go out and fight another few minutes and go on and keep on going until you win.
Following up to that, how does one know if they have the right coach? If obviously you want to reach your maximum capacity, but is that someone else telling you that you're reaching the maximum capacity? Is it something innate that you know that you're reaching your maximum capacity? How does one know that their coach is the right person for them?
That's a very good question. And it comes from deep down inside. If you think about it, Tiger Woods has a coach. Michael Jordan. Look at the things that Michael Jordan was able to do because of Phil Jackson. There's an affinity, there's a knowledge base sometimes that become manifest that you need help to get to the next level. You then begin to start asking questions around, maybe searching for people, and then when you find that person and you line it up, you know that you have the right person to help you get to the next level and where it is you want to go. So it's kind of an internal thing you have to understand and realize. You have to interview people, and some people, I know some coaches, I would not sit under their tutelage because they just come off in a way that just is offensive to me. But that person, again, you have to work with them, you have to listen to them and help them to really assess where they are to be able to move ahead.
Jumping from there, if one is on the fence about contacting you, and maybe they've listened to this and they say, well, I have an idea, my purpose, but they're fighting their negatives. They're just not able to make that step. What is the one thing, what is that determining factor that should push them over the edge that says, okay, I need to reach out to you immediately to make that difference, to fight through that?
Okay. One of the challenges that I've seen with people in that particular question, I don't want to sit down with somebody for 15 to 30 minutes and pour out my heart, and then they give me a bill for that time. So what I do is I take that off the table right away, because in my time of discovery where this person is coming from, we sit down and look at the first 15 to 20 minutes, no cost. You just tell me where you're coming from. It could be on the telephone, and to be able to see if I can help you and ask you some questions and things like that. So, I really look at the person where they're coming from. I take costs out of the picture altogether, because it's so important for that person to be able to articulate what they perceive, what's going on in their lives, without having to worry about the clock ticking and little ducats running, out of their pocket, into this meter, if you will.
And a logical question, I can cut this out of this conversation if you want me to, but that's a great segue to someone listening about cost. Is that something, it's a wonderful offer. They can contact you, essentially a free consultation. What is the cost for something like these services that you offer?
I have several different costs that are available. A 12-week program costs $1,750. I have another program where I just do the strategic plan for a person. That costs $297. But here's the deal. Cost, and I look at my value and what I offer to my clients. I don't back down off of that, but how they pay for it is up to me. And, if we need to look at a plan to put that into payment, some people can pay it right away. We can make it happen. Right now, specifically on my website, I have a bundle. I'm offering the coaching program for basically understanding, what your strategic plan is and your purpose and things like that, a personal strategic life plan for $97. And that $97 comes with 4 hours of coaching. So the person goes through the plan, and then I coach them as we look at the plan together. And I give them 4 hours to do that, because I want people to get started. Some people are just so stalled and they're not moving in the right direction. In addition to that 4 hours of coaching, I give them a 1-year subscription to the Inspiration Nation. So this bundle has really become quite popular because it's like an introductory to personal coaching for these folks. and it really has gone over well. I have almost about 90 people where I send out these emails or videos or scriptures every day to people that are really deriving great benefit from the Inspiration Nation.
And so we have that posted, but for everyone that's just listening and not looking at the website currently, what is the website they want to go to learn more about that bundle and other offerings that you have?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. It's success, successmgmt.org. Successmgmt.org.
And that
And
is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
that is my website that they can get in contact with me. My email address is Michael, Michael, CEO, at gmail.com.
You're also on Twitter as well, if I'm correct?
Yes, I'm on Twitter and I'm on LinkedIn, but if you go to the website, you can connect with me right there.
Michael, is there a phone number they could reach you at if they wanted to give you a direct call?
Absolutely. The number is 323-896-2469.
Also, you do motivational speaking. Why don't you tell our listeners before we wrap things up about what you do as far as speaking with groups?
Well, thank you for asking that. I've parlayed about 40 years of both working for nonprofits and for-profits into just a wonderful coaching career as well as motivational and inspirational speaking. And so my mission is to really help people where they are and encourage them and maybe change their mindset. So with the motivational speaking, I speak to churches, chambers, keynotes, you name it, anywhere I can go to speak. And sometimes I even do it for free. I love speaking to chambers because chambers, I worked 7 years for the Crenshaw Chamber of Commerce, and chambers are one of the most underutilized resource in a community. I could not believe that as far as the services that they provide. All the people have to do is just reach out and ask for the help. I have seminars that I do along with the motivational speaking. One of the popular courses that I have is how to grow your business in 2014, jumpstarting your life for 2014 through the development of your why, and just a myriad of great topics that are real and touch people where they are. And my speaking information is also on my website, successmgmt.org.
And we have posted that there as well. Anything that we haven't our audience should know, or as a takeaway of the one thing that they need to do tomorrow or this moment when they are listening, that they will become a better person or on their track to success, besides calling you, of course?
One of the things that I want people to just give, I want people to understand about me is the word care. CARE. The C stands for collaborative, achievement-driven relationships. There's a lot of words in there, but the C is the most important. I love collaboration. I want to work with people and help them where they are. The A is all about attitude. The attitude that I have is to help you change your mindset if that's what you want to do. But number one, you need to find out what is your mindset and how you're showing up in life and how things could possibly be better for you, your family, your career. The R is all about relationships. I want to look at the relationships that you have, not only within your family, friends, relatives, but to help you use those relationships in positive ways to keep you going in the right direction. And the E stands for enthusiasm. I come in with energy. I don't come in with just yeah, we need to do this, this, and this. I come in with enthusiasm to get you going so that you can go to the next level. You can go ahead and achieve your dreams, but not only to achieve those dreams, but to keep them going.
Michael S. Jones, President and CEO of Success Management LLC. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael. It has very much been a very compelling conversation, and we've enjoyed our time with you.
Thank you so much, John, and I appreciate the time and how you showed up in this interview. It just really warms my heart. And I know the financial services are there, but maybe we need to talk, John, because you're doing this so well and helping so many people. I think you can. Well, you know what you need to do.
You're very kind. We appreciate it. We appreciate your time, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, John.